From American actors who became governors, the former later elected president, the latter known for the phrase,
"I'll be back,"
to Chima and Chinua, two of Africa's most famous authors who, though not related, by some freaky coincidence, lived in the same house several years apart. And sadly, things did fall apart. Two American T. Reeves and German M. Schumacher, Formula One aficionados, born on the same day. From America's first black ballerina to Robert Ballard, from Indian author, teacher of yoga, BKS Iyengar, who reminds us that we're not getting any younger, to the drama in Bahama and the rumble in the jungle, a killer and a chiller and the thriller in Manila, to Malala and Lilibeth, the former whose son almost set in the SWAT district from an assassin's bullet, the latter Her Royal Majesty, whose empire the son, it was said, never set, to the exquisite beauty of our expansive, expanding, and majestic universe. Whatever takes your fancy, there's something for everyone right here, right now. Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Sotonye Afiesimama, and this is Today in History for January 18th. Join me as we journey through history and I share important events as recorded on this day in history. Coming up in today's Today in History, as promised yesterday, the thesaurus compiler, the first successful open heart surgery ever performed, Winnie-the-Pooh's creator, and of course, lots more. So let's get cracking. Today, we will start with the philologist. He was also a physician from England, English physician and philologist, thesaurus compiler, Peter Mark Roget, was born on this day in London, England. So this is the guy behind our thesaurus. As you can see from this picture, Roget's thesaurus of English words and phrases. The thesaurus compiler, who was also a physician and philologist, was born on this day in 1779. Of course, I'm going to show you a picture of the man behind the first thesaurus. So, wait for this. So this is the man, Peter Mark Roget, who again is the man behind the thesaurus. He was born on this day in 1799. So Peter Mark Roget, that's what he looks like, the compiler of the first thesaurus. Peter Mark Roget, born on this day in 1779 in London, England. In 1858, again, this is the answer to one of the questions, if you like, that I posed earlier. Dr. Daniel Hale Williams was born on this day in Hollidaysburg. Now, that's not him pictured here. I've started with this picture because I think it's even more important than the man himself. Well, this guy was the man who performed the first successful open heart surgery. He was also the first black physician named as a fellow in the American College of Physicians. So Dr. Daniel Hale Williams was born on this day in 1858, and of course I'm going to show you what he looks like as usual. So this is a painting of the first open heart surgery, which was performed by Dr. Daniel Hale Williams. as you can see from this picture. Again, that's Dr. Daniel Hale Williams with his first successful open heart surgery patient. So again, on this day in 1858, Dr. Daniel Hale Williams was born. He was the first black physician named as a fellow of the American College of Surgeons and also completed the first successful open heart surgery ever performed. Dr. Daniel Hale Williams. Next, his name was Alexander Milne. He was an English author. So that's the guy pictured here. A. Milne for short, English author. He was born on this day in 1882. Best known for his books about the teddy bear Winnie-the-Pooh and for various poems. Milne was a noted writer primarily as a playwright before the huge success of Winnie-the-Pooh overshadowed all his previous work. Milne served in both World Wars, joining the British Army in World War I and as a captain of the British Home Guard in World War II. He was the father of bookseller Christopher Robin Milne, upon whom the character Christopher Robin is based. When I first saw that, I thought how nice, how touching, how endearing for a father to name one of his characters after his own son. So this is A. Milne, who is a brainchild, as I say, behind the character Winnie-the-Pooh. I remember Winnie-the-Pooh back in the day when my kids were still very young, watching this on TV and having to read them bedtime stories of Winnie-the-Pooh, Eeyore, and Christopher Robin, obviously, who his son, who he named his son after, or who his son is named after. I don't know which way to put that. But yeah, this character was named after his son. Okay, so I'm assuming that's what he did and not the other way around. So this is A. Milne, English writer, who is best known for his books about the teddy bear Winnie-the-Pooh. He was born on this day in 1882. For those of you who do not know what Winnie-the-Pooh looks like or who never heard of Winnie-the-Pooh, well, check this out. So first of all, that's a picture of Alexander Allen Milne and his son Christopher Robin. And I guess that's the original Winnie-the-Pooh, if you like. He had a teddy bear, which this man decided to write a book which has endeared him and obviously his characters to millions of children around the world. So again, Christopher Robin as a child, that's the bear that inspired his Winnie-the-Pooh series. And I'm going to show you the cartoon character Winnie-the-Pooh. Again, for those of you who are not aware, who do not know. So that is the author with his creation, Winnie-the-Pooh, right there. Okay, next on this day, Cary Grant, famous American actor, who was actually originally British. Real name was Archibald Alec Leach. He was born in Horfield, Bristol, England. One of classic Hollywood's definitive leading men. So Cary Grant, pictured here, was born on this day in 1904. He says here, and I quote, "Beware of snobbery. It is the unwelcome recognition of one's past failings." Oh my word. I don't think I've heard anything in recent times so true. Or should I say, I don't think I've heard anything so true in recent times, whichever way you want to take that statement again. Yeah, that is that is deep. That is some deep stuff. Beware of snobbery. It is the unwelcome recognition of one's past failings. Damn. So, do you agree with that quote or do you not agree? Drop me a comment in the comment section. So, again, this is Cary Grant, famous American actor Cary Grant. He was born British, born Archibald Alec Leach, changed his name to Cary Grant, which kind of rolls off the tongue. So one understands why people would change their names from longer names to shorter names, longer names to cooler names as well. Difficult names to simpler names. Makes sense, especially in Hollywood. 7 years later, in 1911, this was the day that this man made the first aircraft landing on a ship's flight deck. His name was Eugene Ely. He was an American pilot on the battleship Pennsylvania in San Francisco Bay. So that landing took place on the battleship called Pennsylvania, and it happened in San Francisco Bay. This was the day that this historical feat was performed, and the year was 1911. This picture was actually autographed by him as well. So that's the man, Eugene Ely. He made history on this day when he performed the first aircraft landing on a ship's flight deck. I shall show you a picture of that event on this day. So that's his aircraft performing the historic, shall we call it a maneuver? Must have been more of a maneuver than a simple landing. The first time it's done, it's not easy. It's not as easy as obviously today. Who knows, the wind may have blown him off the deck several times before he successfully landed on the ship's deck. But again, history was made on this day when the first aircraft landing on a ship's flight deck was performed by American pilot Eugene Ely on a battleship pictured here called Pennsylvania. This happened in San Francisco Bay. The year again was 1911. Exactly 44 years later, this young man, not so young anymore, handsome dude, Kevin Michael Costner, was born. He is an American actor, film director, and producer. He has received 2 Academy Awards, 2 Golden Globe Awards, a Primetime Emmy Award, and 2 Screen Actors Guild Awards. So this again is Kevin Costner, born on this day in 1955. So I guess it's a happy birthday, Kevin Michael Costner, born on this day in 1955. Let's share some more pictures of this guy, younger pictures. For those of you that do not recognize him in this picture, I'll show you some more. So that's another picture of Kevin Costner. I guess this is more recognizable by most people. The younger Kevin Costner, born on this day in 1955. Happy birthday, Kevin Costner. One more picture of Kevin Costner, and we move on to the year 1981. This was the day this man called Grant Furr was picked in the first round of the National Hockey League draft and becomes the first black professional hockey player. So this again is Grant Furr. In 1981, he became the first black professional hockey player. As usual, more pictures of this guy, a bit older here. That's him here, presumably as a coach. And last but not least, I quite like this picture of him. Looks a bit like a baddie here. Anyway, so Grant Furr, he was picked on this day in 1981 as the first black professional hockey player. In 1986, 5 years later, this was the day that Martin Luther King Jr. Day was first celebrated as a national holiday. So I hear it's now on the 3rd Monday in January, so it doesn't fall on the same date. I guess to avoid the weekends, so that's a proper holiday. So if you recollect from my previous video, he was one of my previous videos. He was born in January, I think he was born January 15th. So the Martin Luther King Jr. Day tends to fall around his birthday. Some years, perhaps, on his birthday. But yeah, so this was the first time Martin Luther King Jr. Day was first celebrated as a national holiday. The year, again, was 1986. It's a quote from MLK Jr. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. I totally agree. Martin Luther King Jr. He was also assassinated, for those who do not know, assassinated at the young age of 39 in 1968. He was born in 1929 and was assassinated in 1968. So we're going to end this segment with this quote from MLK Jr. It says, "The function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education." Okay, so the function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. I couldn't agree anymore. MLK Day celebrated for the first time on this day in 1986. Let's move on to the last but not least historical event on this day. This was the day that the war in Sierra Leone officially came to an end. It was declared over by the man pictured here. His name was President Kaba. Now, it is said that more than 50,000 people were estimated to have died in the fighting, and some 2 million were displaced. Now, how sad. 2 million population would represent about a third of the population of Sierra Leone. It is sad that 1 in 3 Sierra Leoneans were displaced by this war. I just saw no sign of ending at one point, So President Kaba, pictured here, declared the war, the civil war in Sierra Leone, officially over on this day in 2002. So that's some more information about the reasons behind the war. Title here is Blood Diamonds. Rebels were supported by Charles Taylor. He just wanted to gain control of Sierra Leone's rich diamond mines. Charles Taylor, who interestingly was Liberian. Why he wanted control of Sierra Leone's diamonds. Well, obviously, I don't want to say I don't know why here, but that's incredibly selfish. Anyway, thankfully, the war came to an end, and the Sierra Leone is forging ahead. Some more information about the war. So you can pause this and read at your own leisure. I don't want to keep the video too long. So this is a bit about the war in Sierra Leone. Okay, I'm going to scroll this down one more time so you can check this out yourself. And last but not least, interestingly, exactly a month after the war was declared over, Sierra Leone celebrated its Armed Forces Day. So Sierra Leone Armed Forces Day is celebrated on the 18th of February, exactly a month after the war was officially declared to be over. So that's a bit of extra information for you about Sierra Leone. Okay, on that note, folks, we have come to the end of today's Today in History. Thanks for dropping by once again. Thanks for your support. If you haven't liked this video, give me a thumbs up. That is, if you do like the video. Also, consider subscribing. Consider sharing this with your family and friends. But before I officially end this video, in tomorrow's Today in History, we've come today from Winnie-the-Pooh. We're going to talk about Edgar Allan Poe. Who was he? I'm also going to talk about one French artist, and one Swiss artist. A female country singer, I'm sure you know who this is, and snow in the Caribbean. Snow in the Caribbean. Don't miss it. See you tomorrow. Thanks for dropping by. Stay safe. Bye-bye.